It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
All right. Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host here. We're in the third segment of our Monday show on 12/16. For those of you that are listening live on our website, glad to have you on board. A couple of things I want to kind of bring to your attention, by the way. There is going to be a meeting. I just referenced and mentioned the issue of the Convention of States. And I want to tell you about a meetup. If you're local, there's a meetup that's going to happen at the Campaign for Liberty group on December 19th. Now, that's going to occur in West Plains. And the meeting is going to start at 6:45. If you want to come at 6 early, you can eat there. It's going to be held at the Skillets Restaurant in West Plains. The venue's a little bit bigger there than the normal place where Campaign for Liberty meets. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because the speaker there is going to be Keith Carmichael. Now, he's going to speak on the concept of this Convention of the States movement and the Article 5 solution that's out there for us. I know you've been wondering what it all means. You've heard about it. You heard about Mark Levin's book. You've kind of heard the phrase Convention of the States, Article 5 solution, Constitutional Convention, a con. You've heard all of these. You've heard good things, bad things. You don't know what to think. Well, utilizing the critical thinking skills that God has given you, now is the time for you to find out. Now is your chance to become educated, to be informed, to be motivated, and then to be activated. And I'm suggesting that you should come and not only bring a friend, but bring 2 or 4 or 6, 8, maybe 10. The truth is, if this is one of the outs we've got to our current demise, then you owe it to yourself and those around you and those who are counting on you to educate yourself about it. Now, I'll tell you what I will do. I will stream this particular event on our website that night for those people who are interested in hearing about it but don't have access to come here locally. Because, as I mentioned this morning when I was sitting here starting the program, there are folks all over the nation who are watching this program via our website. And they're not within local broadcast radio distance. And, of course, they certainly can't drive here on a Monday night or a Wednesday night or Thursday, whatever the heck it is. That's going to be the 19th. So that would put it the 19th is the Thursday. My apology. I'm having a brain freeze. So Thursday night, the 19th, I'll stream this program on our website live where you would normally watch this program. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I want you to have an opportunity to hear what the Convention of States is all about. I want you to hear what the Article 5 solution is. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to take Keith Carmichael's version of this and run with it. I'm not going to, and you need to be cognizant of some of the issues that surround the issue of Article 5. There are some legitimate concerns that come into play with that. But I want you to at least have the beginnings of gathering of information, right? Listen, I want you to look at it from this perspective. If you're hungry and you're on the verge of starvation, you need to gather enough berries to fill your belly. You don't just eat one and say, okay, that's enough. You eat one and then another and a handful. And you continue to eat until your hunger is sated. It's the same with information. If you're unwilling to sit down and look at all of the available information on a topic, you're never going to be sated. And you'll make a mistake of putting your eggs in a basket that's not worthy of your of your trust and your efforts. We are very, very close to having almost no solutions left. You've heard me say it many, many times because I've actually given you the quote from Winston Churchill. If you will not fight for the right when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. In fact, there may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory because it is better to perish than live as slaves. You see, we're in this window. We do have an opportunity to fight here where we can win without bloodshed. But that window is closing. The victory now can actually be sure, and it can be relatively not too costly to us. I'm not saying it's going to be free. But I got to tell you, I see America waiting until the crisis has struck. I see America blithely going along in ignorance, hoping beyond hope that something's going to change it for them. Someone is going to change it for them. And we're going to get to the point where we have to fight with all the odds against us and barely a precarious chance of survival. If we allow it to get to that point, because he made this comment in the 40s and the late 30s. In fact, he made it, I believe, in 1939. But with the current capability that our government has in terms of military and surveillance and monitoring and all of these things, if we allow it to get to that point, we may jump over the point where the odds are mostly against us and we have a precarious chance of survival and find ourselves in the fight where there is almost no hope of victory, but we're willing to fight anyway because it is better to perish in that fight than to live as a slave. And I mean that literally. I know there's people out there that will say, you're way over the top. Okay. I get it. That's what they thought in 1939 in Britain. That's why he said it. In fact, I just pulled it up. March 31st, 1939, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain had informed the House of Commons in Britain that Britain would support Poland against any action that threatened its independence. This marked the end of submission to Germany. Churchill thought the decision should have been made sooner, when it would have been easier to stop Germany. And history tells you the rest of the story. The truth is, Neville Chamberlain, who was the prime minister at the time, constantly appeased Nazi Germany. Well, they'll be satisfied if we just let them, they'll stop there. Here's the problem, folks. Tyranny never stops. Tyranny never stops. The GOP, those people that you think represent you, have almost 100% failed to meet the call. There are very, very, very few individuals in the GOP. And I'll be honest with you, even a guy like Cruz and Mike Lee, I have mistrust for. I grant you they're doing the right thing now. But what will it take before they fall to corruption, coercion, manipulation? I mean, you know, I read you the lyrics to that song, The Dogs of War. And I got to tell you, I don't have any doubt in my mind that if this regime felt that there was a way to marginalize Cruz and Lee, that they wouldn't take that. And that could come down to a point where they would eliminate them. The Tea Party says that Boehner's declared war on them. They're absolutely correct. He has. This is the same Tea Party that saved Boehner. This is the same Tea Party that literally saved the Republicans and kept this country from having a second term with this president with a 100% aligned Congress with his ideology and his political party. He's throwing out there that these right-wing organizations are over the top. He's repeatedly attacked them and said that, they're unrealistic. You see, let me tell you why Cruz is so popular. Because he's actually doing what people expect their representative to do. And instead of actually sitting down and doing what they know to be the right thing, to standing up for the principles that they were elected to follow, they've completely capitulated. I'll tell you why people like Ted Cruz. And he went home, by the way, after his 12-hour or whatever the heck that was, 21-hour thing on the government shutdown. He went home to a hero's welcome. The truth of the matter is, a guy like Cruz and a guy like Lee represent, for the first time in our living memory, what we expect of a representative. And it's not that they're doing such a great job. It's just that the comparison against those who were betraying us is so stark that we are like stunned. It's like turning on the light switch in a darkened room, and for a moment, your eyes are just taken back. The truth is, we've been blinded to the concept of just somebody who's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we're so enamored with the one guy who steps up out of the shadows, or the two guys, and I'm not throwing Mike Lee under the bus here by any stretch of the imagination, but when a couple of people step up and actually do what they're supposed to do, we're stunned by that. And we're calling them heroes. They're not heroes. They're just people doing what they're supposed to do. They're patriots. Snowden is no hero. He's a patriot. He's an American. He says, I'm not a patriot. He says, I'm not a hero. I'm an American. He knows that this is what every American should espouse. He knows that this is what we all should stand for. And he says, I'm not so vastly above the crowd. I'm just doing what we should all be doing. Have we sunk so low that we don't recognize that this is an obligation of each and every one of us? Are we so surprised by one guy who actually stands up for principle that we have to put him up on our shoulders and march him around as a hero? If that is the case, it's because we have allowed ourselves to become so dumbed down, so anesthetized by betrayal, that when we do see that ray of hope, it looks like we've been let out of a cave for the first time in 10 years, and we're seeing sunshine. It's not that Cruz and Lee and Snowden are doing such a great job. It's that we haven't seen anyone do anything even remotely close to that in so long that we're stunned by it. The truth is, their behavior should be the behavior of everyone in office, in everyone in a position of authority. And the sad truth is that it is so rare for it to actually occur, then when it does, we're swooned. We're stunned by their courage, their bravery, in the face of what? Evil, betrayal, tyranny, lies, deceit, power, ego, money, fame, fortune. What? And there's a lot of people out there that say, you know what? You're too polarizing. Well, I get that. And you know why? Because when people hear the truth, it hurts. Because it's the kind of truth that we all know and have in the back of our minds, but we're unwilling to vocalize. I'm just saying what everybody else in the country's thinking, but nobody has the courage to come out and say. Or those who have the courage to come out to say it either don't have the platform to do it or can't, articulate it or whatever. There's plenty of Americans out there who are true patriots. There's plenty of Americans out there who are spilling the same news I'm spilling, by the way. I'm not alone in this. I just happen to be the one that you're listening to at the moment. I'm not giving myself some kind of kudos or credit here that I'm not entitled to. This isn't about me. This is about our nation. This is about you. This is about us. And this is about what are we willing to stand for. What this is about a reflection of who we are. And when we look at ourselves and refuse to admit the truth, we walk away from that mirror knowing that we have betrayed our own best self-interest. I did a show one time called Self-Treason is the Worst Treason. And self-treason is the example of when you know, but you refuse to take action to correct the problem. This is the same treason that allows somebody to sit there and consistently say, I can quit drinking any time I want, when they're waking up and pulling a fifth of vodka out from underneath their bed just to get out of bed in the morning. This is the treason that has somebody who sits there and does methamphetamine to the point where they look in the mirror and they don't see that 103-pound skeleton in front of them, because they consistently lie to themselves and say, I could stop this anytime I want. This is the self-treason of the guy who sticks a needle in his arm 4 times a day and says, I don't need this, I can quit this. This is the treason of the gambler who is sitting there stealing from his employer and selling everything he can get his hands on so he can get back to that casino one more time. This is the treason of the American public who will sit there knowing what's coming and not take action. Not stand up and put all of their effort, all of their resources towards some sort of a solution that in the long term will actually benefit them directly. You know the path that you're on. And you know that continuing to do that methamphetamine, to shoot that needle into your arm, to sit there and continue that gambling, to sit there and continue drinking that vodka every morning just to get out of bed, has an end that is unimaginable. You know that the end result of that all of that is that it can only continue for so long before the whole thing implodes. And you know, just as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow morning, that to continue to allow what is happening to our nation right now will have an end that will be utterly, totally devastating. And it's not just to you. It's not just to your wife or your husband or your children or to your mother or your father. This is going to be a total devastation that will affect you and our progeny for untold generations. When the pillar of liberty and freedom fall here, the darkness that will envelop this planet will be complete. We will be in a dark age that may last hundreds, if not even thousands of years, if we live that long as a species. I'm telling you that the truth of the matter is you don't want to admit it, because to admit it means you've got to put it all on the line to fight back. And for whatever reason, whatever your personal thing is that's holding you back, you're unwilling to step up and recognize it. So you continue to sit there and vote for the Republican Party. Well, this one will be different. Really? How many times do you have to get fooled? You know what this reminds me of? When you were a little kid and the bully on the block would take your thing and he would hold it over your head and you'd keep jumping up and trying to get it. When all you really needed to do was draw back your leg and kick him really hard, right where it mattered. And then while he was doubled up on the ground, heaving and screaming in pain, you could have picked up your little toy and walked off. The power is there for you to do something about it. You're just unwilling to take the responsibility to knock the bully down. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I am your host here. I would like for you to find us on the web and work with us. I'd like you to share the information that we expose here and hopefully use it to educate some other people in your circle of influence. I get it. Sometimes I'm too boisterous. Sometimes I'm too polarizing. I really don't care, because I've gotten to the point where trying to soft soap this and trying to explain to people in a nice way just ain't cutting it. And now the gloves are off. The mask of evil is slipped. So it's up to you to get educated and informed, and then to educate and inform and motivate and activate not only yourself, but those people in your circle of influence. If I can help you do that in any way, then I've accomplished the task. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about malfeasance in office and what we can actually do about it. We'll be right back. Stick with us.